Nestor.
Happy, I'm not even sure what day it is, but happy today.
Wednesday. It feels like a Thursday.
Right? Well, we're gonna post this on Thursday. So happy Wednesday and Thursday. It's all good.
I mean, it's Thursday. So, we're talking about what we should talk about.
Right?
And we're talking about the market.
It's been crazy.
Yeah, a little bit.
Have you been experiencing this? Has today, yesterday, and Monday flown by?
Yes.
I looked at my watch and I'm all like, it's damn near dark outside.
Yeah.
And where did the day go?
I don't know if that's good or bad, but it means we're doing something.
Yeah, busy, but unfortunately some of the busyness is with the market shifting a little bit, so we're seeing a little conflict going on out there, some people changing their minds on stuff.
Yes.
We met with Gov Hutchinson today, and he was talking about, he brought up the fact that people are just canceling escrow to cancel escrow, or the problems with multiple escrows where a buyer is opening more than one escrow and never doing anything with the things, and the ramifications of that and the problems behind that. So we're seeing, I guess, in a nutshell, we're seeing some abuse going on in the industry. A little more than normal.
I think we always see it when the market changes, whether it's accelerating, whether it's decelerating, is people start to get a little more cautious, I guess. They look into things a little bit more. They think twice about the purchase. These last 2 years, it's either purchase or get out of the way.
Right.
And so people are seeing the opportunity maybe to slow down a little bit, but unfortunately it's after maybe they've gotten into a deal or they're questioning what they're doing, whether they really needed to do it to get into that deal. And just some crazy ones with people and some reasons for canceling that I've never even heard of before.
We've had a couple, yes. So I won't even get into that, but you're right. We've had some interesting reasons for cancellation here recently. So, but our real subject today is, a lot of times when people come to us and they express a problem or express a situation or something that's happening, one of the things that we do is we go back, the first thing I do is I say, send me all the paperwork, send me the contract, things like that. But one of the other things I also am interested in is my documentation. Tell me about the conversations, tell me about what's going on. And what I'm finding is a lot of people are doing a less than good job on documenting.
Well, can we take a step back?
Sure.
So I think that's one aspect that we need to discuss here.
Right.
But before that, as we were talking about what's going on in the market and things getting a little wonky and people wanting to back out, started making me think, now is when that professionalism, that attention to detail is going to save deals and put people in position to do better business.
Right.
We've all been so helter-skelter for 2 years, and now, we're still doing good. I mean, there's a lot of good things in the market.
Correct.
The interest rate actually isn't that bad. It's stabilized a little bit, and there's more opportunity with listings, so there's some good things. But when people are making these changes or transactions are getting difficult, if we're on top of it, crossing those T's, dotting those I's, really paying attention, consulting properly. Right. Let's have some conversations and not rush into things. That's going to make things a lot easier.
Right.
And so I was just wanting to say, it's kind of along the same lines of what we're going to get into, which is just running a good transaction to eliminate as many issues as possible. Can't eliminate them all. Some things are going to befall you that you just couldn't help. But I think we're seeing a lot where more proper, more diligent actions ahead of time may have kept these from landing on our desks.
An open line of communication.
Oh, yeah.
I think Gov used the phrase today, which a lot of us are familiar with, ghosting, that there was a lot of calls coming in about, I'm being ghosted. When he first heard it, he had to look it up, but
I think he was being funny. There's no way he doesn't know what ghosted is. Or maybe he doesn't have kids, I don't know. That's a kid thing.
But and even thinking back, we're having more conversations. I'm in your office more often, you're in my office more often for the day-to-day stuff going on, because I feel like more stuff is happening and we're having to keep each other even more up to date. So that whole trickle-down effect of all the way down that communication is a key important element in everything that we're doing, and some are good at it, some are not so good at it, some are doing it better or not so, less than others. But then we have problems, and sometimes we scratch our head and wonder why, and like,
And then, yes, on to the subject at hand, which you brought up, which is when there's a problem, it's hard to answer with someone just telling us a bunch of details that are disjointed and we're not sure what the backup looks like. So
Right.
we're asking for some proof, some transaction documents, and hopefully in there is a transaction record.
right.
So what's that to you? What does that look like to you?
Gosh, well, I remember 25 years ago, however long it was, when I got into the business, it was funny. One of the very first things I got introduced to was a communication log.
Yes.
And it was nothing more than a sheet of paper with, it was basically looked like an Excel, document printed out, and it was date, who you spoke to, general idea of what the conversation was about. And I remember the broker sitting me down saying, every time you have a conversation, you pull out a pen and you just write this down. Oh, I can remember it.
It's hard.
It is hard.
Is there anything more valuable, though?
Oh,
My God.
I will tell you this. So I actually took that to heart, and I did it. I was one of those that, whether I believed in it or didn't believe in it, she said to do it, so I did it. I remember the day I was in court in front of a judge.
Oh, wow.
And I pulled out my communication. The tone completely changed as soon as I pulled out my communication log and the other person didn't have one. It was done.
Wow.
It was all of a sudden the judge, all of those, because here's what happens. Oh, I don't recall. You hear that a lot in court. I don't recall. Did you say? I don't recall. I don't remember. I think people are taught to say that. Well, when I had my communication log, not recalling was irrelevant. All of a sudden, it became whatever it was that I said, because I wrote, hey, we had a call on this day, and this is what we talked about. So this is when we said it. And I left that day understanding the true importance of, I think it's fantastic when we're in a transaction and anything that's happening, that the more that you communicate helps that transaction go smoothly. But it is way, way more important when things aren't going right.
Yes.
Of what have you got? What have you got to document what's going on? Now we're in a digital world, so it's crazy.
Yeah. I remember, my first manager, same thing. You open up the old manila folder, and on the right, your transaction, and mine was, I think I just glue sticked it literally to the file.
Right.
Was my transaction log. I'd have to say it was used less than it probably should have been used. I'm not going to say this is an easy thing, but I'm going to say it's incredibly important.
Absolutely.
And I remember he said, look, and I didn't experience the court part. You've got a better experience with that. But he said, when you go into court, he said, if you have nothing versus a pencil written note that there was a conversation and it was about asking for disclosures, about following up on the such and such, he's like, it is nearly gold.
Yep.
And you've experienced that.
Absolutely. And, things have changed nowadays, because what happens is, because we're in a digital world, it's so easy to get, it's easy to get phone records, it's easy to get text records and things of that nature. But what's not easy is trying to assemble it after the fact.
Yes, you can do it, but man, can it be painstaking.
Correct. And, so nowadays, I think documenting has become actually easier because, Travis, we have a phone conversation. It takes 2 seconds to either open up an email and write a note to myself, talk to Travis about this today, or even better, send a quick email to you hey, thanks for the phone call, and just following up, this is what we talked about, in case I missed anything. Boom, done. That is what keeps us out of trouble.
Yes.
Or at least, keeping everything in line so that we are able to present a clear picture of really what's going on when something goes on. You're seeing it. Well, this is the reason that I'm doing such and such. And then when they realize that that wasn't the real reason, or not a valid reason, oh, well, no, this
What
is
I
really
meant.
like,
And that'd be perfect for, okay, I understand. Okay, well, we'll take that into consideration. We'll get back to you. Click. Hey, how you doing, person I just spoke to on the phone?
right.
Just wanted to reiterate what we discussed. Da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, and you don't even have to wait for a response. You don't
Correct.
ever have to get a response because silence is agreement.
Exactly.
If they read it and there's a problem, you would anticipate that they would send somebody and say, no, that's not what happened.
Exactly.
So that's great. You know, for me, I'm getting on the phone more and more. I always have this with me, and I'm getting a little bit organized. You know, I like to be organized. I've got my Google Docs for documents. I've got my Asana for tasks. Love to do that right on the phone here.
Right.
And I've got my Evernote for notes. And you can use any note-taking program. So there's even, I think, Notes is what Apple
your
uses
phone,
right on the
absolutely.
front.
Right.
And so that's a great product. You know, every transaction, all you have to do is have a file in there. Boom, open it, type real quick. Hey, just did this, talked about that. Boom, right back out.
I don't even type anymore.
Yeah.
I open mine, I open the speaker, just talked to Travis, today's date, this was the subject. It puts it out there, and I will glance at it to make sure it got it 97-ish% right of what I said. Sometimes it'll throw some typos in there or different words or miss something. But for the most part, you've got your note and boom, you're done. Close it and move on.
That's brilliant. I need to do that more. I don't use it, and I remember last year I was on a trip with my brother, and he had some workers, and they were in another state. He was trying to communicate with them, and he'd be on his phone, and he would just be talking into it,
Right.
and he was texting. And I was watching it, I'm like, wow. And I mean, he did it extraordinarily, and there were long, detailed texts.
Exactly.
And I was like, wow, am I missing out on something here? You're right, that would be perfect, because you can go into most of these note-taking ones, just hit next line, June 2nd. Set an appointment for the appraisal to be done. Agent, set appointment's good. Whatever. Yeah, whatever.
So, I guess, part of the thing we're talking about today is documentation. Some of the reasons, we're kind of jumping a little bit here to there, but some of the reasons to document, when to start documenting. I think it's important to start from the very get-go. Our very first conversation. So the first time you meet a buyer, you should start to document that conversation, whatever it may be. And that could be as simple as putting them into a CRM with some notes about what's going on, what they're looking for, what the situation is, all the way to once an escrow is open, what your conversations or your communications are with the agents, making offers. Like, things don't come back to bite you until they come back to bite you. Another situation working on, agent wrote an offer, they accepted the offer, and they were multiple offers, so they said. Well, it turned out that this one, a grievance is being filed, and one of the things they asked for is, hey, send me the other multiple offers. Well, there weren't any.
They were told that?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
So what happens in that situation? Now all of a sudden, what is the agent on the hook for? Because now the agent was in a position where that agent made that false statement and caused somebody to make an offer that was higher than maybe they would have ordinarily. And what kind of damages do we have, and et cetera, where's that going to go, and who's going to get in trouble for things like that. So we always want to make sure, no matter what's going on in our situations, of just making sure we're making our notes and writing a text, everything in writing.
Text,
emails.
Text might be hard, unless you're texting to your email or something. Whatever it is it's a system. That's actually
Correct.
one thing I wanted to touch on really quickly, is this is with almost anything. It doesn't happen smoothly the first time. It could take a month.
Right.
It could take 3 months until you're like, wow, because you're going to be working bugs out of your system as you're doing it. But I think it's important that you have a system.
Correct.
As to how you do it. Whether you're going to text things somewhere, whether you're going to do emails and categorize them when you get back, whether you're going to have a note-taking program and you're just going to talk into it and keep a running conversation. Pick a way.
Right.
And work hard at it. And you'll run into bumps in the road and everything, and you'll find ways around them, and it'll work. But I don't want people going out there and writing 2 notes and saying, oh, this is a drag, I don't want to do it. It's too important for that.
It is.
You got to take the time to get it to stick.
And I'll touch on this because one of your favorites, putting that system in place for it. There's different ways. A lot of CRMs now will do it for you. So there's a lot of CRMs now that will connect to your email so that when we're in a transaction or in a file, I'm actually emailing through the CRM and not to the email, and it's got it connected. So it's storing all of those automatically for me and keeping them in order. So even if we've got a chain of emails going on this one, and then later on another one starts, if it all goes into the system, it puts it all in that file for you in that category. There's a lot of CRMs that do that now. You know, Google's got an extension, I think, with a Folio, I think it's called.
Okay.
It's a free service, and they have an upgrade in it, but it does really the same thing. It recognizes when you've opened an escrow, and it'll take those and it'll create a file for you.
Yeah.
Anything that you are talking about that is in regard to that particular transaction automatically moves over there, so that you've got a running file of your communications that are happening. So now, you know, it's not keeping track of text messages, but hey, let's be realistic. You can move those to your computer now real easily and push them over there as well. And a lot of CRMs, you can keep that in that file as well.
Yeah.
So sometimes it doesn't have to be that hard. It's just a matter of how I change up my system of how I'm working things or communicating with you.
Yeah, and doing it that way consistently.
Yes.
Because, you know, it's when you say, oh, I'm going to keep everything in this notebook, and you write 2 notes here, and then you start writing them on sticky pads. You're like, wasn't I going to do that digitally? And then you're making a note of notes.
Right.
Next thing you're like, oh my God, what do I have here?
Exactly.
You got to pick that path and stick to it. But yeah, that documentation, that will save you.
Yes,
and you know what? I bet doing it will make you have a look at your business that you haven't seen before. You take a look at a few of those things. I bet you could implement some improvements based on what you're doing in your business.
Right. So I'll give you another reason to document. We had a agent came to me and was having a problem with another agent in another office about a dispute going on over a property, and ended up having to call the broker to have a conversation with the broker. And I said, my agent's saying this, and got a call back, well, my agent's saying this. I said, well, my agent's got video and pictures, and let me send these over to you. And so I sent them over, and I got a call from that broker. Give me a second. Let me go talk to my agent, because it's obvious we're doing something wrong, because the proof is in the pudding in this particular situation. So the documentation actually helped us to help the other side get to the truth quicker, so that we could actually resolve the actual issue.
Awesome.
It was. Anything else on documentation?
Do it, please. I implore you.
So we'd love to hear a situation that you guys have had, or any questions. Drop them in the chat, drop them in the comments. I think it's a point up, click, hit the bell. I don't even know those parts, but Andrea has got to help me with that part. I think it's hit the bell so you get notifications on our next video. Hit subscribe so you get notifications. And let us know what you think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And whatever day you're watching this, happy whatever day that is.
And if it's Thursday, like it is today, have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend coming up.
Absolutely. Are you ready for it?
I think we're just chilling, and I'm kind of excited about it.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to still be on the golf course that day. So, yes, if I'm on the golf course on Monday, that means I made it to the final round in the championship. So
That would be great.
It would be. It's never happened, but
It's always the first time.
Absolutely. So, got a lot of people rooting for me, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
Bye-bye.